I don't know how much value I have in this universe, but I do know that I made a few people happier than they would have been without me. And as long as I know that, I'm as rich as I ever need to be.
Hey kid, what time is that?
It's time to refresh.
Back once again with another podcast. This is episode 74 of the It's Time to Refresh podcast. We've got Burnley legend in today, Mr. Fluids. I'm going to big you right up here just to get you all nervous tonight in front of the camera. This is LP, Lewis Pearce. For those who don't know who he is, he's been around for a long time. And
thanks for that.
Yeah. I mean, you don't look like you've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And you had like a big impact within the sort of Burnley, Lancashire scene with your brand and your nights. It's like if you mention Fluids to anyone in the bounce scene, they know.
Yeah.
They know what it is.
I'd like to think so.
Even the younger generation who maybe haven't been to the nights and that know some of the recordings and stuff like that and So how are we doing? All right?
Yeah, good man. Yeah, good. Nice early start.
Set off this morning at 4 a.m. to come here. And we're recording this before he starts work. So this is the earliest record we've ever done, and the first record in the office as well.
Yeah, that's the best area.
Yeah.
Rather than in the unit, it's a lot tidier.
Yeah. This is going to look the most professional we've ever done as well. Shame it's not green background, so then I could have just all green screen.
You should have said I printed one out.
So just start with everyone else. What did you have for tea last night?
Chicken burger and chips.
Nice. Do you have any sauce on your burger?
Spicy mayo.
Nice. The perfect sauce for it.
Yeah, the girlfriend made it all in the air fryer with a cornflake crust on it and all that jazz, so it's nice.
Oh, class.
Washed down with a glass of red, obviously.
I've been dieting quite heavily and going to the gym and that every day, trying to lose. Like the camera adds £10, so I look like a right fat fucker. So I look 25 stone instead of 24. You know what I mean? And I've been not starving myself, but like do you know when I love takeaways. I love everything. So
yeah, absolutely.
So last night I had salt and pepper chicken, and honestly, when you haven't had it in weeks and weeks, I ravished a lot. Yeah, I ravished a lot. Woke up this morning feeling like I had a hangover though, because I was just like, "Is this what bad food does to you?"
Yeah, it's all the salt, I suppose, isn't it? It just makes you for six, doesn't it?
Yeah. So as I start with everyone else, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Like, where did music come into your life? Have you always been into the?
Started when I was really young, to be fair, because my mum was a bit of a raver.
Yeah.
My mum used to go to Angels to watch Paul Taylor and stuff.
Right, okay.
So she used to come on with all the recordings and stuff, so I used to sit there and listen to them. I was only 7 or 8. So
what was this? It must have been like 1993, roughly? 94?
Yeah, it was, yeah. You have done your research.
I know, I'm Rain Man when it comes to the rave scene.
So yeah, it kind of started there, my love for dance music, and then it was just a case of recording everything off the radio when you could. And
what were you listening, like when you were saying you're getting the tapes and stuff like that, what caught your ear?
I don't know, because obviously then it was like piano house and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was just the beat of it, and that's what sucked me into it, and I was hooked ever since.
Yeah.
It's been the same ever since, really.
So when you think back to them days, what's the tune that sticks out in your head when you think of like your mum coming on with a new tape?
It's difficult. There's quite a few. Judy Cheeks, Reach, Evoke, Arms of Lorraine, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Banging.
Absolutely.
So you're listening to that. When did you sort of develop your own taste then?
I think I was at school. Obviously, I went through a bit of a trans phase, and as leaving school, the Scouse House thing started.
Right.
I was buying Wigan Pier CDs and whatnot.
Are you Burnley born and bred?
I'm from Lincoln originally.
Right.
But I moved to Burnley when I was 7, so I'm pretty.
So you're pretty thereabouts.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to gauge what you grew up on, because it tends to be in this area. with the CDs and tapes going around in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s, you were like, say, like a Monroe's person, or you were a Pia person, or Max. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I discovered the Pia CDs first, and then I found the Monroe's stuff.
Yeah, so they're like more like you would call it commercial, wasn't it? Like they were more readily available everywhere else.
Well, you went to Electron, the shop was just full of it. So you know, they were there every week with a new CD and stuff, and you buy it every week, but the tunes were still the same. It very rarely changed, and then the next month they might have a couple new tunes in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it kind of started.
What was your first Pia CD? Do you know?
I can't remember that.
You can't remember, no.
Yeah.
So, what was the culture like around, like, you growing up then? So, like, you were saying it was the trance and stuff when you were in school. Was there a big buzz around it, like, with your mates and your friends group and stuff?
No, not really. Whilst I was at school and whatnot, I was kind of on my own with the dance music stuff. They were all into Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Indie stuff and whatnot. And Oasis was massive then, and Blur.
Yeah.
And that was never really my thing. So I was
Right.
kind of on my own, really.
Okay. So when would you say you made your first music friend? As in, like...
When I started working in venues, I started as a glass collector in town at a big club called The Works at, I think I was 15.
Right.
I lied about my age, so obviously you have to be 16.
Yeah.
And that's when it really started.
So you weren't DJing or anything at
No,
this
not
point?
at that point, no. But I figured, well, I didn't even think about DJing then. It wasn't even a thing for me. It was only when I started working in the club and started watching the DJs, I was like, hang on a minute, I want to have a go at that.
Yeah.
So I got some turntables for my birthday, some Citronic PDQ direct drive things.
They blue.
They were black,
Right,
these
right.
ones, with little bits of blue on, but they
Yeah.
were terrible. You can
I think I remember them.
nigh on impossible to do a mix on them.
Yeah.
I think that was when I was 17, and that's when it all kicked in.
Right. So then, when you're working in these venues, what was the sort of music policy where you were working?
It was a commercial club.
Yeah.
It was owned by Luminar Leisure, so it was commercial.
Yeah.
But fortunately, the manager at the time, he was from Liverpool.
Yeah.
So he was also into DJing at the same time. So during the day and stuff in the club,
Yeah.
when we had a spare hour, he said, "Come on," and we'd jump on and we'd go get the records out and stuff like that.
Yeah. Is it anyone we know, like DJ wise?
No, it wasn't. No.
No. Right. Okay. Just somebody who's.
Yeah.
Okay.
So from then, obviously, he started letting me doing the warm-ups and stuff, and they weren't really warm-ups because I was going in and banging them all out at 140 BPM before anybody was in, kind of thing.
Yeah. What sort of stuff were you playing then?
Apollo dance, shake shimmy, you know, all around the world stuff.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. So, and at this point, had it clicked for you, the DJing thing?
No.
Like, no.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Was it literally just one in, one out?
Yeah.
Okay,
I didn't know my timings. I couldn't do anything. I could just about beat match, but I was always out and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then James Sempe came to work for the club.
Yeah.
Another club in town had closed that was owned by Luminar, and they moved him into the club. And he watched me warm up one night, and he came home to me and went, "You're fucking shit."
Yeah.
And then he took me under his wing and taught me the rights and wrongs of it. So we spent hours and hours and hours in his loft, just mixing and then getting me up to scratch, kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you not think, I've said this a few times, but like, do you not think that, like, it's good to do your apprenticeship as a DJ?
Yes.
No, it's not a real thing, but
No, but it is a real thing.
get someone like underneath someone's wing, and they show you the basics of
crowd control,
understanding it,
you know, and not going into your, and I think that's a missed thing now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of DJs that come through now, they might go and play the odd event, but they've never been in the atmosphere to warm it up properly and do it week in, week out kind of thing. It's a complete different art form.
Yeah, and they might be like practicing this set they're playing in their room, and it's like, this is my big break, even though they're maybe only on warm up or something like that, and they just come in and smash it out at 150 BPM, and it's
never
like,
get booked again.
Yeah, it's like it was your big break, and that's it, been and gone.
Absolutely.
But with regards to it, like, I think there should be a lot of like the veterans out there should be taking people underneath the thing. Like, I'm by no means a veteran, by the way, but I've had a couple of people underneath me when I've organised events, and I've just said, listen, your demo's been really good. It won't mind me naming, like Todd Murphy, he ended up getting a residency at the club that we were running events at, and then I helped him out getting a residency at Club 135 in Whitehaven.
Yeah.
When he started out, he was sending me a demo, and I thought, oh, it's good. Like, you can mix tunes, and tune selection's really good. But he mixed it as if it was on like peak hour, And I said to him, like, listen, I didn't take it. He's older than me. That's the thing. So it's a bit of difficult, and basically just said, listen, this is how we'll do it. And then he'd come round and mix, and then I'd purposely put him on first just to see if he'd like listened and in like taken in what I've said. And to be fair to him, he ended up being a decent DJ. And he's off and he's doing his own thing now, and that's it. Like, you shouldn't hold them down underneath you as well for forever, because they're not. All they need to know is the basics, and they need to know the do's and don'ts. So you don't need to sit there and like, this is my pet project.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Sit on them forever, because it just holds them down as if they want to progress and be artists and stuff like that. Like, that's just my opinion, but obviously there is a time when you have to just let them go and do their own thing. So how did you feel? Like, did you know Sempi beforehand?
No, that was obviously the first time meeting him, and obviously we're still close friends today, you know, we still do work together. I still pop in and see him. He has a residency over in Nelson, so I still pop over there and see him on a night.
Is that the Revival or your rope?
Yeah,
So I played there earlier this year for the first time. It's quite a good little...
Decent little setup, isn't it? Of all places, Nelson, though, it's not the nicest of places, but it's well looked after. Probably runs it well. My first thought was, like, when I came, I'm like, this is just a total random area. And then when you go in, it's like... I think it used to be a working man's club.
But they obviously care about it. Like, it's tidy and it's So if you're local to there, go and check one of them nights out. There you go, free plug, have that. So... Did you notice things from Sempi that was a bit different to what you were doing? You're like, that's how like, did things click in a way? Yeah,
everything clicked after a while, but it took a while.
What was the biggest takeaway, would you say, from
my timing? Because I didn't used to count bothering. I just slam it in wherever I go.
As long as the beat matched.
As long as it's beat matched, that'll work. And it took me an awful long time to get out of that. And all of a sudden, it just kind of clicked and went, oh, there you go.
It's a nice feeling that day when you realise all this time, it's like, that's why he doesn't sound like everyone else.
And then obviously the CD, and I was using CDs then as well, and vinyl, and trying to use them. You remember the twin Denon?
I know what you're on about.
The pitch bend
and it had like the little disc. When you were sort of learning the club as a club jock rather than like sort of just mixing, is there any sort of memories that sort of stick out to you, like where you've played and you've thought, you know something, this is a bit of me, this, like...
I think what really got it for me, the club was closing down for refurbishment. And I took redundancy, but they asked me to play the last set. And I got all emotional and stuff. You know, it was that good of an event kind of thing. There wasn't very many there. There was probably 500 people in there, but it was still massive to me at the time. Playing that, and then I went, this is what I want to do. And that's when I went off.
So where did you go from there? Because obviously you're a bit inexperienced in the whole networking thing.
Yeah, so I went to it was a nightclub in Padiham called the Empire Wine Bar.
Right.
So I went there and approached them, and I said, look, I've done this, this and this. And they said, we'll give you a trial. And then they gave me the job there Friday and Saturday nights. Not bad. And
what were you playing there then?
The first hour kind of was R&B poppy stuff, and then warm it up, and then it went into the full-blown scouse stuff.
All right, okay, interesting.
It was always a wild night in there. It was guaranteed there'd be a stool flying across the dance floor and glasses and whatnot, so it was decent.
As Candy says on the podcast, you can't beat a banging shithole.
Exactly that.
Yeah. Them jumpers are coming soon, by the way. They'll be on the merch store. Just a quote. Can't beat a banging shithole.
Yeah, cause it was an old spiritualist church, but it wasn't very big. So it was on stage, and they built a DJ box for me. I had a 3x2 and some boards on the front, and just stuck some CD decks on the thing. So I used to trek down with my turntables, set them up every week.
Yeah.
I think the wage was only 40 quid a night.
But it was exposure, and it was
Yeah,
getting you out in front of a crowd,
Yeah.
regardless of how large or small it was.
Yeah.
So
it's a good experience.
So you're doing this and whatnot. Who's the sort of, obviously you've said Sempi to begin with, but who's the first sort of names that you met with in the scene when you were doing it?
When I first met, okay, so that'd be when I had. Well, obviously during the time at Luminar, obviously there was like Mark's Free Jack and stuff like that. But then it would have had to be in the Fluids Bar days, and that's when I started to work with the bigger names.
So what did you go from this?
I went from the Empire Wine Bar to a pub in Paddington called the Starkies.
Right.
And I was there for 2 years.
Right.
Another rough place, but it was banging, it was good.
Yeah.
I used to play Northern Soul for the first half an hour in there, just for the oldies, until they disappeared, and then we could build it up. Then an opportunity came along. A door lad I knew from town had said this bar's come up. They're looking for somebody to come run it.
Right.
And that was Fluids Bar.
Right. So was it an already open bar at this point?
Yes, it was. Yeah,
right.
yeah. And the owners of it wanted to change it up a bit, so I went in, pitched my idea to them.
What was it beforehand? Just
It was still called Fluids Bar.
Yeah, but what was the sort of?
It was still the same music.
Right.
But it was
just needed a bit of refreshment.
Yeah, it just needed a little bit of a change kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I put my ideas forward and whatnot, and obviously with my experience of working in the clubs anyway, because Luminar I worked my way up to trainee assistant manager, so I put that across to it and got the job there. So
excellent. So from there was the Fluids thing born, where it was just like, how did it start? 'Cause obviously it wasn't a brand first, was it?
No, it was just a bar.
So when you say you got the job, were you booking people every Friday, Saturday?
Yeah,
or?
so I was the manager kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've changed my legs, I get numb. So the first one we did, so it was open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it was only open 10 till 2.
Yeah.
And it only held, I think legally it held about 70 people.
Right.
But obviously we'd always cram a couple of hundred in.
Yeah.
So the first one we did was a Thursday night, and we got Mikey B, Michael Brisbane, Jacko down, Master C, because they used to do nights over at Never Neverland.
Yeah.
So they came over to us, and they did Thursday nights for us, alongside the Fluids lads kind of thing.
Yeah. It only dawned on me yesterday as well. Me and my missus were watching, have you seen the Bisping documentary?
Yes.
So we're watching that, and we're talking about it. And then, obviously, for people on the inside, I'm recording 2 podcasts today. I'm doing one here, and then I'm going to see Sempi next. Coincidentally, I didn't know
Yeah.
So, put one of the old Monroe's tapes on just to listen and come on. And it was him and Sempi back to back, 1999 New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it only dawned on me. I was like, fucking hell, I didn't realise that such a small world, isn't it? I knew obviously about him doing different venues and stuff like that and being involved in the scene, but you just don't realise how much of a small world it is. That coincidentally I was watching this big podcast. Oh, Jesus. Watching this big podcast and this documentary, and then the day after I'm talking to you lot who sort of he's were on the scene when he was, and so
I mean it was weird because we used to, I think we charged £2 entry.
Yeah.
I mean we used to just give that to Mikey V and Jacko, so they'd probably walk away with 8 quid a piece for a Thursday night.
It's not bad, that, is it? Really. I know it's going to sound like an absolute random question, but could you see that he was going to be that big? Just out of curiosity. This is just more scratching my own interest.
Because then I don't think he was really. I mean, he was training him, he was fighting and stuff, but he's just a normal bloke. He was just. You'd have never known what was destined for him. You wouldn't have known that.
Yeah. It was just DJ Mikey B.
Yeah, just DJ Mikey B, and he'd just sit there and have a laugh with you, and just have a crack and have a few beers with you, and that was.
Yeah, excellent. I just wondered, like, and it clicked with yesterday. It was just a literal coincidence that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going, and I probably know him. Yeah. But yeah, because he references obviously the area and stuff like that. And because this is such a small community, you don't realise when you talk about, say, Fluids, and you talk about all the other bars and clubs that's been sort of local. It's all within like a 5 mile radius, 6 mile radius, and it's just. It's interesting, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, back onto your story with regards to Fluids, like what was everyone's got a booking plan. What was your did you just want to see DJs, or
I didn't really have one.
Their tips, or I've heard that
I didn't really have a plan per se. It was just, right, what can we do this week?
Yeah.
And then I book it for the month moving forward. And I tended to only do it on Friday nights with the guests. Saturday nights with just me and a couple of other lads, no MCs and stuff. So we went through pretty much everybody in a short space of time.
Yeah.
Obviously the biggest one was Alex K.
Yeah.
I got his number off Lily.
Right.
And he said, there's Alex K's number. And we booked him. I think it was 400 quid.
Right.
So it was the biggest money I'd ever paid out for an artist. And he walked in and he had a Reebok tracksuit on, scruffy as hell. And he looked in and he went, "Is that it?" And I went, "Yeah." So we had SoundLab CD players with a little joystick on for the pitch bend.
Yeah.
And he came in and looked at him and went, "What the hell am I meant to do with them?" I mean, he still managed to pull it off, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good night.
Excellent. Alex K turned up to a 70 capacity venue.
Yeah. Well, obviously I'd not told him any of this when I booked him. I just sent him a text and said, "Can you do it?" And he said, "Yeah, it's 400 quid for an hour." And I said, "Yeah, that's fine."
No worries. You wouldn't get him for 400 quid now, I can tell you.
I can believe so. Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, so when you were looking, so obviously I don't know how much you're involved as a greater scene. I know you're involved with the sort of Burnley thing at that moment in time. When you were looking to book DJs, what were you going off the back of? Were you going off recommendations, tapes you'd heard, or?
I think once you're involved, you know who's who and who's playing where.
Yeah.
And then the likes of then, it was the forums and it time to come alive.
Yeah.
And, was it Wigan Tonight? I think it was. So you knew who was playing where, and you went for the bigger lads who were playing at Maxime's and stuff
Yeah.
So then you just booked them that way.
So who was the first name that you got in who you'd never sort of met in person, but you thought this is a good get for us? Obviously Alex is up there, but there's bound to be like one where you were buzzing just to get them in your.
Well, yeah, there was one. One of the first ones was obviously Pete Daly, Gary Hypnotic, 'cause I'd never met them before.
Yeah. And obviously their histories. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we remain friends again ever since that night. Welly, he was another one.
Yeah.
I'd never met him before.
So when you booked them, you were just like you knew of them, and then when they came and played your venue, class, mate.
Exactly that.
So how long did this sort of were you doing other stuff other than the Fluids bar?
No, at the time it's weird. I was running it for a while, and then I took the lease on, which was the beginning of the end.
Right.
I was very young and very naive.
What years was this then? When?
So I went in there in 2005.
Yeah.
And let's put it this way, I was out by summer 2006.
Right. What was this, your lease?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but when did you start working there?
No, 2005. I was there. I had it 3 months before I said, "Right, I want to take the lease on."
Right. Okay.
Giving it the big Billy I am.
Right.
So it had a bar upstairs as well. So I opened a record shop.
Right.
Up there, and in the end, it turned out the record shop was supporting the bar financially.
Oh, okay. Right.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
So yeah, it went wrong quite quickly.
So what was the record shop called?
LP's Records.
LP's Records. Yeah. Excellent. I like it. And were you getting like faces off the scene coming in?
Everybody used to come in, and obviously all the lads from bring the recordings from the nights. Nelson Santos used to turn up with his every week.
Yeah.
Farrell turned up with his and stuff like that. So yeah, we had a good selection of CDs and whatnot. So yeah, it was quite a busy little shop.
Excellent. Was a lot of up and comers at the time coming in as well, and
yeah, they were. Adam C, we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
He used to come in every week and buy his records.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, there was quite a few. Yeah.
Interesting, because it's good how I was talking. This is another little bit of behind the curtain stuff about the podcast. I've been to Chris Clark's, Total Control.
Yeah.
I half got Total Control. Been to Chris Clark's twice in the last couple of months to record a pod, and each time we've just ended up sitting down and having a crack. And like the other night, I looked at the clock and I was like, shit, I've got to be at Sanctuary in a couple of hours. Oh well. So he's coming on at some point, but I don't know when. But and anyways, we got talking, and him and Neil, his brother, we were just sitting having a crack, and you don't realise how much the record shop is missed.
Oh, massive.
Right, and like how you would use it to sort of network. I only caught the very latter end of it, and it was a bit shit then, but it was still a hub where you'd meet somebody, even if they didn't like, right, oh, you're into bounce music, okay, well I'm into, I don't know, say hardcore or whatever, but you can still talk about the mutual thing of,
Yeah, of course you can.
and
Yeah.
oh, do you know so and so, or do you know,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And that's how like that was the social network.
Yeah.
People think because there's like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that now, or sorry, X now.
It didn't exist then.
Yeah, but like that's not the same vibe as what a record shop. A
No.
record shop, it's human. It's face to face, and I like. I was talking with Chris and use this as an analogy. People watch this podcast to listen to get an insight into, say, like your life or a bit into my life or whatever, and what music we're into and stuff like that. This is conversations we'd be having in a record shop.
Of course it is.
I think.
Absolutely.
I think like, and this is why I think if record shops were around now, no one would watch this because they're having their own conversations in the record shop.
Definitely, yeah.
So I'd like to think that this is the modern day record shop where you can come in. I know you can't if you're watching it, you can't have your input in the conversation, but you're talking about the stuff you want to talk about. And do you know what I mean?
It was good as well because obviously we were recording then, and I used to travel around all the record shops, like all around the northwest, and get to know the lads running because they were all DJs that ran them at the same time.
Yeah, it's
so
a culture, isn't it? That's literally what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you ever have anyone come into the record shop and you think, fucking hell, what are they doing in here? Like just a total randomer.
Yeah, I think so. We came up looking for an Elvis record, and I said, no, it's not that kind of record.
Class. So yeah, you said you took that on in 2005, the summer, and then
March 2005,
yeah.
and then by the summer 2006, it had all gone wrong. And
so what had gone wrong? Like
just finances, being young, naive, and
were you just going too big and too hard, or was it? What was the
I just didn't
situation?
know how to run a business.
Right, so it was just you weren't calculating the money in, the money out sort of thing.
It was a lifestyle thing.
Because I imagine 2005, 2006 in a 70 capacity venue, if you're getting the numbers, you could probably sustain it. But obviously, yeah.
But obviously, I was doing things that completely wrong.
Yeah. And then, so how did that affect you then? Sort of having to sort of.
Well, I went personally bankrupt because of that.
Oh right, okay.
When I say I lost everything, I lost it all. Kind of thing.
Okay. And how old were you at this point in the summer of 2006?
I don't know, 24?
24.
24,
yeah,
25,
it's quite a.
It's a young age for it.
Yeah. It's
Very
quite a
young
hard.
age. Yeah.
So yeah, and what had sort of happened? You went bankrupt, and you still the same passion for the scene, or
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
So obviously I had to get a job. So there was a little ink cartridge shop in Burnley where I used to buy the inks from to print the posters, my own posters from and stuff. So I went there and I got a job in there. And then I decided to bring Fluids back, but as a night.
Right.
So there was a bar in town called Calamity Jane's.
Right.
Like a Western saloon type bar, it had all the dancers on the bar, Coyote Ugly type thing. So they agreed to let us go in there on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And that was the birth of the events then.
So it was. For straight off the bat, did you think Fluids like it's gonna be?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, right. That's interesting. And then, did you take anything with you from the Fluids bar to this, as in like a residence team or?
Yeah. So all the lads that worked with me in the bar,
yeah,
they've been with me since day one.
Right.
They're still with me today.
I like that. That's interesting. So who was that then, names wise?
Nicky B, my right hand man.
Yeah.
There was Coltsy.
Yeah.
Harry. And then the MCs, you've got B, Shock, RJ, Grimesy.
Nice. It's not a bad residency, isn't it?
No, it wasn't at the time. Yeah, it wasn't at the
it's
time.
not a bad residency line of that. Class. So when you said to the lads, obviously this is what I'm planning to do. Like he's in sort of thing. What was there?
They were in it instantly. All over it. Yeah.
Did they like the thought of, oh yes, it's back?
To be honest, I don't think it wasn't away for that long. It was probably only a month or two before I did the first one.
Was it's still there then? Is that what it was?
I mean, everyone was so young and all they
Keen.
wanted to do was go to events every week, so
Yeah.
it just happened anyway. So yeah, it was good.
And then for your first event, then Calamity Jones. What was the idea behind it? Who did you have on? Who was the guest?
I can't remember.
Can't remember. Should have done your research before this, man. But yeah.
We weren't there very long. I think we were only there 4 months.
Right. So
That.
how many events in 4 months? Were we
4.
saying? You didn't also one a month.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not bad. Not bad. Was there any sort of stick out memories from that era?
The sound system was terrible. We only charged, I think it was only £2 in.
£2
on a Thursday.
Not bad, is it?
But the crowds grew because it was bigger.
Yeah.
It held a couple of hundred, so going from 70 to 200 people, it was a good jump.
Did you notice and think to yourself, right? Okay, like Fluids is getting a bit of a buzz about it. Like
I did, yeah, and the recordings were still flying out, kind of thing. But then it was a case of what do we do next? And I was away on holiday, and I got a phone call from the guys who owned Club Fusion in Burnley at the time, which is now Mode.
Yeah.
And they said, look, we've seen what you're doing. Do you want to bring United to us? And we'll put you on a Friday instead, which was unheard of in Burnley. Since the days of Club 53 closing.
Yeah.
And the Mill Bar and stuff, and Fluids, there was nowhere on a Friday and Saturday you could hear that music. Nowhere, because it was frowned upon in a way from the general public.
Yeah. Like I said to you, it's a very niche thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is. Yeah.
People are either into it or they absolutely hate it. It's one or the other.
Actually, no, I take that back. That being said, it's not a niche thing around here. Every time I come down to Burnley, right, I swear, this God's honest truth, like, last time I came down, who did I record with? There's a story about that. That was DVB as well. I didn't even go into the town centre. I just went to Dom's house and pulled up outside, and this guy drove past on like a trial bike. And the chair tunes were blaring, and I was like, "Wow, I'm in Burnley." Like, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I pulled up outside of. You'll know town better than I do, mate. Like, there's like a barber's. You've been through this street flying because there was loads of Fluids.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah.
It was on the main street of Burnley, but it's like just coming off. Anyways, I dropped off, and out of this barber's or hairdressers or whatever it was, my missus says, "Have you heard that?" I'm get my little lad out of the car. They were going to town to do some shopping, and while I was going to do a podcast. I listen over and it's just a blaring 155 BPM donk.
A lot of the barbershops they tend to have a donk Friday.
Yeah.
So Fridays at the
and I'm just like, wow. I'll, in my area, it's quite a niche thing to like. It's popular, don't get me wrong, but you wouldn't hear that in town. Do you know what I mean? So sort of. You've got the Fridays at Fusion.
Yeah.
Did you think this was a big step up?
Because it was massive.
This is a big club to fill, isn't it? So
I was so excited. I was shaking. I was that excited on the phone call. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So the first night came. I think it was September 2007.
Yeah.
And we booked Pete Monsoon and
great DJ coming on the podcast in the future, by the way.
I can't remember who else was on. Might have been Desire, I think.
Right.
And it was a £5 in. It was the cheapest club night ever.
Yeah.
And I think we pulled in like 600 people.
Not bad,
so
is
it's
it?
gone from 200 to 60 overnight. It was unbelievable.
Class.
And then it just spiralled, man.
So during that time, this is where I've sort of heard of yous when I must have been about 2006 actually when I first started hearing the recordings. They reached up our end. Do you know what I mean? So
that's me driving around selling CDs at the back of the car.
But yeah, the CD packs they were being heard, and I just thought these are a bit different because it didn't sound like your typical recordings. Do you know what I mean? They were a bit. They had their own sort of style of what was going. Like I said to you before, like when I heard your stuff, I've always thought as Fluid as more vocal, whereas a lot of people are like maybe the sort of harder, the
big,
Spanish style mixing
big
stuff.
fan of the vocal and the G's.
Yeah.
Always been a big fan of that.
Yeah. So when I heard it, I was like, oh, this is good. This it's a bit of me. So I always kept an eye on what Fluids was doing and what CD packs coming out, what DJs were on and stuff like that. What was sort of during the Fusion days then? So that would have been what, 2007
Yeah,
to
2009.
right. So is there any stick out nights for you there?
Oh, absolutely. Obviously, we're getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
The club holds, I think it's just short of 1,500, I think, the club holds. So it's a massive venue.
Is that with
to fill.
upstairs?
Yeah,
as well?
upstairs,
Okay.
and there's another room on the back of that.
Right. Okay.
And so then I rang Pete Daly and I said, let's do a versus night kind of thing. Let's do a Fluids versus Monroe's.
Yeah.
And it wasn't long after Monroe's had burnt down and disappeared.
Yeah.
So there was still a thing for that at the time.
Yeah.
And it's the first time it'd ever been done on a big scale.
Yeah.
And I just thought it'd be the normal numbers, 500-600 or whatever. And I remember opening the door. Well, the owner rang me and said, you need to get here. I said, what was Sue? So I went running up to the club. They opened the door. And I looked out. I've never seen a queue as big in my life. And
Class.
Went all the way down the street, past the courts.
Yeah.
So we had to open 2 doors to get everybody in. And I think we did about 1,600 bodies that night.
Nice. 1,600 people. I bet you're asking Pete to come back.
We did a few more.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Fluids versus Monroe's. I don't know if it was recorded or like I don't.
I've still got every single recording we've ever made.
Okay.
From day one.
Well, I haven't come across it personally, so yeah, it's impressive numbers, isn't it? You did a couple of versus nights as well during that time. I remember Fluids and Sanctuary.
Yes, we did. Yeah,
Fluids, Monroe's.
Yeah. Fluids and Frequency.
Yeah.
Fluids and Frequency was on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Which anywhere else in the Northwest, Christmas Eve is always a bit of a flop.
Yeah.
And so I got the lads down there. The Frequency lads, are you sure Christmas Eve and all this? We still put 600-700 people in.
Christmas Eve.
Absolutely.
Some sore heads when Santa's been.
We've done Fluids on Christmas Day.
Right.
In the old bar. We were only open 20 minutes, but we did it and it was heaving. Unfortunately, there was an incident and
Okay.
we had to close. So.
20 minutes, I was thinking, what have you been shut down?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mental. Fantastic, in fact. So, what was the end of that era? What was it? You said 2009, so what?
Yeah, I mean, obviously in that time, due to Fluids, I started getting bookings everywhere then, at this point as well. So
where were you sort of playing then?
I played Sanctuary quite a lot,
Yep.
up at Syndicate.
Yep.
Then Pete brought me into National Anthems at Maxime's.
Yeah.
Tall Trees I played there for Clubland.
These are some of my bucket list sort of venues I'd love to have played.
I've played Tall Trees a couple of times for Clubland.
Yeah.
Because I used to run Clubland nights at Fusion, you see, so
Yeah.
I came on the back of that. So.
Oh, not bad. It's just when in my area, if people were going for an away day, I've said this maybe on the podcast before, but an away day to Cumbrians is you were either going to Pier, Pleasure Rooms, Tall Trees.
Of course, yeah.
And
I mean, there was loads of other smaller gigs in between. Like
Yeah.
going back to the Fluids bar days, me and Nick were booked for Moist in Blackburn.
yeah,
None of us could drive then, so we carried record boxes and jumped on the bloody bus. It was unbelievable.
yeah, it's mental what you do. Like when you will go to the end of the earth to try and get your first gigs. I remember when I first started, looking back at it, right, people must have just thought I was a complete goon. Like, I got booked to play in town for this brand. It was like the Park Reunion. It was.
Okay.
Park was a big nightclub. It was essentially the what the Fusion was to Whitehaven. But anyways, and I got played to do this reunion night. Although I'd never played there. They were like, we want you on the warm-up, like your style of music will work, whatever. And I was like, yeah, no worries, I'll do it. And I remember getting the bus down with my CDs and stuff like that. And like looking back on it, I just looked like I was underage. I looked like a little cunt, and like I just think, what did they see in me there? Like if some like 15-year-old lad now come to me and said, will you put me on your next night? I've got easy demo and stuff like that. I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of how good you are, I can't risk, like...
Yeah, definitely.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, like, turning up. I always looked a little bit older as well. Like, I think I started going out when I was about 15. I started going out when I was 17, Mum, I promise. If she's watching. I used to say I'm staying over at my friend's house.
Oh, didn't we all? Yeah.
And then, so it was never an issue, but the sort of earliest stages before I started going out, when I was DJing in clubs, I remember going into a thing called Gallagher's by ours, it's a nightclub. There's been some really good nights there in the past. I got booked to do warm up there, and it was like the dying days. I think that's why they booked me, because they were just after like any DJs or whatever. So anyways, I turned up, and the bouncer was like, "What are you here for?"
You're not
So
coming
like
in.
a sudden night, he goes, "You're coming here."
Yeah.
He says, "No, I had my stuff. I was like, I'm DJing. So I had to go and get the manager. Are you shooting? He's like, yeah, he's right. So he took me up the stairs into the nightclub, stood by the DJ box, and when my set was finished and I was passing over to the next DJ, he just fucking grabbed my shoulder and then escorted me out. Yeah, he wouldn't let me stick around for the next DJ.
What?
Yeah, so I ended up getting the fucking 10 bus home.
God, yeah. I mean, there's been loads of incidents of catching buses and stuff.
Yeah, it's just you don't realise how keen you were
Yeah,
to
but
do
carrying
it.
big record boxes at the same
Yeah.
time. I know there was a night we played at Amenity over in Rottenstall,
Yeah.
Q Club. Me and Nick had played, and we were sat outside on the record boxes. And I think England had played that night,
Right.
and there was some Scousers drove past us, and they were looking for trouble.
Yeah.
Next thing, he's pulled out knives and all sorts. And me and Nicky V are running down the street with record boxes back to the club to get in.
Leaving your record boxes
Yeah,
on
no, I
on
wouldn't leave
bricks.
them. Absolutely not.
The stereotypical leaving your cars
There's
on wheels.
some
Leaving your...
insane stories like that. It's nuts. The things
Yeah.
that used to go on.
So yeah, we were at sort of 2009 sort of era. What was it like? What had happened to become the end of that?
If I'm honest, that 2009 period was that downturn.
Yeah, it was the start. It was the beginning of the recession, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So
the recession was coming. The music was kind of filtering, fading away.
Yeah.
Event numbers started to drop. It was kind of quite depressing, really, to watching it all happen. The whole town as a whole started to suffer.
Yeah.
Because you used to be able to go out and Burnley Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it'd be heaving.
yeah,
And the nights just started disappearing one by one. And it was just kind of, do I carry on? Because I think I'd lost money on one of the events, so I'd gone from
big numbers.
big numbers to next to nothing, and I went, something's got to give.
Yeah,
So I had a couple of months out. I said, we'll just leave it for a couple of months.
yeah,
And then the club shut anyway.
right.
It changed hands a couple of times.
Yeah,
And I think the new owners after them renamed it Playhouse. And I went to have a meeting with them, and he just looked at me and went, "You're not coming back in here." And shut the door. That
wow.
was the end of it for a while.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's just terrible, isn't it? It's I think during from my perspective anyways, you might not agree, but I remember like 2010 sort of even going forward to about 2013, if you were known to be liking bounce music and into bounce and into that sort of style,
frowned upon.
yeah, it was like
Yeah.
not a chance of you
Yeah.
anything to do with the brand. I remember at the time I was playing a bit of house music as well, and nowhere would have me because it's like you're that bounce DJ, you're a bounce DJ. Like if you start playing this stuff,
Yeah.
like
Well, I had a residency as well at the same time. Well, a couple of residencies in Burnley.
Yeah.
At the same time as doing all this, there was a place in town called BB11. I remember going in to see the manager, and I didn't know him at the time.
Yeah,
And I used to meet a couple of friends in there every Saturday. And we got chatting, and he went, I can't employ you, Lewis, because you play that music. I said, I don't just play that music. It took me a long time to persuade him.
yeah,
And so in the end, I was there 7 years.
not bad, is it?
Working.
Not bad.
And it was only Thursday nights, but
Yeah.
it was easy away. And I remember him saying to me one night, he said, I was wrong about you, Lewis. He said, you might like that music, he said, but it's not how you come across.
Yeah.
You know, but you do get a stigma. So if you are seen to be quite big in that scene playing that type of music,
Yeah,
it's very, very difficult to get other work. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, if you're known as that guy who puts bounce nights on, or that guy who's affiliated with it, you tend to be really popular when the music comes around again. It's really popular.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we'll have you on this night because you know what the thing is.
Yeah.
But as soon as it's not popular, you're like a bad smell.
Yes, that's
You know
exactly
what I mean?
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So sort of 2009 going forward, when you're not running the nights, was it just DJing at this point?
Yeah. So I was at BB11 for quite some time, and then what year would it be? So me, ours has just had its 10th birthday. So that's 2013. It opened there, and I moved there for a Saturday residency, which was all house, retro, and whatnot. There wasn't a bangs tune inside ever. And I was there for 5 years, and in the end, that's the point where I'd said I'd had enough. Yeah. I'd become stagnant with it, playing the same songs every week to the same crowd.
Can burn you out as well. It's a hard. People think when you're a DJ, it's oh look, he's just having fun. This isn't work.
It can become mind-numbingly boring.
Yeah.
And then I always said when I was younger, I said if it ever becomes a chore,
then
it's got to stop.
And it's because you become like a nocturnal creature as well. It's like you find yourself you having less sleep. It's like last Saturday I had a gig, didn't get home until I think it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and I went to go and lie down, and my little lad got up, and it's the start of the day for him, even though I've just
of course, yeah.
So as I say, he's one on his crumpets, and I'm just like, okay, right, here we go. And you don't realise if you do that. Luckily, I don't DJ every weekend, but if you did that every weekend, you'd be burnt out. You'd be
soon catches up. Absolutely.
Well, as well. I've noticed with DJing, when you play, you'll play, say, maybe this place a couple of times a year, this place a couple of times a year, and before you know it, the years are just going by, and it's like, oh, I've been playing this club X amount of years, whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
And you don't realise it, but then when the realisation comes round that fucking hell, I've been in this for a while now.
Yeah.
That's when like the burnout comes, and you feel like fuck, like it is starting to become a bit stagnant. This and nothing's changed because it feels like 6 months and it's been 5 years. It's like whoa.
Exactly, yeah.
But
you can be buying all this new music and stuff, and it's just not a thing.
It's because once you're in the cycle and the loop's gone, you don't realise that to everyone else, I've always said this so many times on the podcast. The 6 month cycle. If you went out, say we'll say it's 2008 and it's Fluids, you've got events on, right? In a 6 month period, you've got a different clientele in the next 6 months because there's the next 18-year-olds coming up, and then there's the people who settle down, have kids and stuff like that. The amount of people I've seen come and go from the music industry, where it's like they've come in, they've dabbled for a bit, and then they've had kids and sort of settled down, and it's like you don't realise how fast time's going by until you see these people, and it's like,
I mean, that's why we did the Fluids under 18s as well, sorry, at Fusion, and we did that because of that, because the clientele moves on pretty quicker than what you realise. You get the odd few that are there through the duration, but so we started the under 18s to capture that, and that was insane. Every Wednesday there'd be 1,000 kids stood outside. Class. Unbelievable.
Class.
I don't know how or why it worked. It just worked.
Amazing.
It was good.
I like it. So you said you finished. It was 2013 there, but go back one. You did so Fusion must have opened back up because you did Fluids and Sopranos October 2012, wasn't it?
Yeah, it changed hands again.
I could be wrong with them dates, but
no, you are right. Changed hands again. Another couple had taken the club on, and they invited me back. And they only knew that I was there because my painting was on the bloody wall. Right. So around the club, they used to have all the famous DJs that had played, and they had all paintings of them. So mine was stuck on the wall in between. I think it was Fergie and Judge Jules. It was absolutely insane seeing it. It was like, why am I there?
A rose between two thorns.
Yeah, exactly right. So they invited us back. So and Sopranos was an up and coming thing then. So I said, let's do it, because Fluids had been away for quite some time. We need to do something that's relevant.
It's gonna get both. It's gonna get the lapsed raver. It's gonna get the new.
So it needed to be relevant and moving forward. So that's why we did that. And then I said I'd look at coming back again, because it would seem things were picking up again. But then it changed hands again. So.
Right. Okay. So then, sort of skip forward a few years. You're doing you're doing various bits, as you say, you had your residencies in town and whatnot. Was there any times that you were getting booked for any bounce gigs or like that from say 2013 to say the pandemic?
No.
Nothing at all.
No. Because I pretty much said I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I pretty much come out and said that because I'd fallen out of love with it.
Yeah.
As same as. So
That's why we haven't crossed paths, mate.
Probably.
Because I didn't start playing in this area until about 2012, 13. So you'd have probably been.
I was gone.
Yeah. So
I was enjoying retirement, so to speak.
But yeah, so that's why, like, when I met you this morning, it's like I can't believe we've never crossed paths.
Absolutely.
But it's only been probably post-pandemic that we've probably had the chance to cross paths.
Yeah.
So obviously, coming up to say like the pandemic era, then before everything closed, what were you on with? Were you DJing wise, like
nothing?
Oh, you did no.
Once I'd been at Mojitos 5 years.
Yeah.
And once I stopped that, I just wasn't interested really.
So what was that? 2018. You finished there.
Yeah.
Right,
I just lost all the love for it kind of thing. So I just packed everything away. As you've just walked through my unit, you've probably seen the vinyl collection on the shelves, just stacked up.
So I've got a question that might. I'd love to ask people this who've stepped away from the scene. Did you keep an eye on what was going on? Like,
yeah,
from a distance, sort of say.
You do. You can't let go of that.
Yeah, I'm just interested because there's not many people you meet who've had long breaks. There's people who've maybe gone for 6 months and came back, but that's not a break, is it really?
No.
But like you had a big stint without doing anything. So
nothing
were you just keeping an eye on what was sort of?
Well, you just peruse through social media, don't you? And just have a look and see who's doing what and what's going on where, and you go, oh yeah, that looks interesting, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and you see some of the old guard are still bang at it. You know, who've kept it going.
Yeah.
Since day dot, you know, like Farrell, he's never stopped once, has he?
Yeah.
So yeah, I always keep my eye on it, and I kept in contact with a lot of DJs because we've become friends, or I either do the printing or whatnot. So
we'll get into the printing then. So when did this start?
So yeah, when I went bankrupt and I got the job at the ink cartridge shop, I ended up buying it, and I thought there's something here, and I bought a photocopier then. I started doing bits of posters for people and stuff like that, and it just grew and grew and grew. Then we outgrew the shop that we were in, so then we moved into an office block above Mojitos.
Right. Okay.
Then the pandemic hit.
Right. Okay.
So one time.
What? So it's been your full-time job since you went into that cartridge shop.
Yes,
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's good.
So it's squeaky bum time with the pandemic,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh my god, what am I going to do? And as print class as manufacturing, so you can stay open, you can trade.
Yeah.
And so I started printing the floor graphics, you know, the 2 meters apart things.
The what? Sorry.
Keep 2 meters.
Oh yeah.
So I started printing those, and I managed to get myself #1 on Google.
Right. Okay.
For it, and it just went insane. 14-hour days, 7 days a week.
Wow.
I think we did 3 years turnover in 4 months.
Wow.
So that's what paid for the move down here, and
Excellent.
carried on ever since.
This is what you call capitalising off a pandemic.
Exactly.
Right. The politicians who capitalise off war and illness and stuff like that. I just get into the printing business.
Yeah,
it's less guilt. Nah, I want to joke, mate. Yeah.
I'm not.
If it's there, mate, like fucking. If you're willing to work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, then fucking fair play to you. Do you know what I mean?
You have to do what you need to do to survive, don't you? In essence.
So when would you say, like, this is a bit of a personal question, like, but when would you say that you thought the business really established itself, like?
The pandemic, really.
And that's where it's.
But I mean, it's always been quite a busy place anyway. But that was all. Majority of the work at the time came from people I've met in the music industry. I
was going to ask you this next question. So a bit of trivia for you, that you can sort of let the people have an insight to. Who's the sort of brands or DJs that you've worked with in printing wise that's been customers?
Well, obviously Sanctuary.
So you print their
Yeah,
bits
I've
and bobs.
done quite a bit for Sanctuary, BTID.
Yeah.
I still do bits for them now.
Yeah.
And obviously all the clubs and bars in town and stuff, I still do all that as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's nice. There you go. So if you
And even like customers and stuff from
Yeah.
events.
Oh,
You
right,
get to know
okay.
them, and then it turns out like they have really good jobs and stuff.
Yeah,
You get
yeah.
to know them, and then you start doing work for them, and that way. So it all kind of.
It's a big network, isn't
yeah,
it?
of course it is.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you're ever at a Sanctuary event and think, fucking hell, that looks like a nice big logo there. There you go. That's where it came from. But yeah, so the pandemic hit you, you're grafting away. So at this point, you probably got no time for music.
None at all, mate. None
no.
at all. Everything was packed away.
Okay.
And it's only just recently that it started to reappear again.
So go on then, talk me through it. The pandemic's been and gone.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's opened back up.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go from my perspective. So just if I'm wrong, correct me. I seen Fluids reunion flyer
Actually,
pop
well, we
up.
did the first Fluids reunion before the pandemic.
It rings a bell actually. That
It was the 14th birthday.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah, I remember.
Which was an absolute unbelievable,
Yeah,
insane. And then obviously the pandemic hit, and I had another one planned during the pandemic for the next birthday, because I think that's the way I'm going with it now. It's
Yeah.
a once a year thing.
yeah,
It's too much to do it any other. I haven't got the time.
yeah. And it makes it feel special as well. Like,
Yeah, of course it does.
you don't want to oversaturate something. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like I feel like if some brands that have come back as a reunion, if they're doing an event here, there, and everywhere,
It's no longer a reunion.
it's
is
not a
it?
reunion. It's an
I
active
agree.
club. Like,
Yeah.
So if you do a reunion once, twice a year at the max, it's like a special event, isn't it?
Yeah, of
It's
course it is.
like the way I see it. It sounds daft, but do you like wrestling at all?
Not my thing. no.
Okay, the people will get the reference who like wrestling.
Okay.
So you can go to your weekly Friday night SmackDown or Monday night Raw,
Yeah.
and you'll get your dose of what you're after. But
Yeah,
it's a captive audience. But when WrestleMania season comes around,
Now I understand the reference.
do you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
I got the reference.
So when WrestleMania comes round, you've gone from having 8 to 10,000 people in an arena to 100,000 people.
Yeah.
Because people want to be part of the spectacle.
Yeah.
If you've got, I don't know, the fucking It's Time to Refresh reunion once a year, right? Not that we're a nostalgic act. What it is, it feels special. So
Yeah.
you're gonna capitalise on a large audience.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think when these reunions do come around, I've seen stuff in my area that's been a reunion, and they've seen, fucking hell, we've got a few hundred in there. Like, we can make something on this.
Yeah,
And then the next
try
one
and do
comes
it
along.
too soon again.
Yeah,
don't they? Yeah,
and then you get half that, and then you get half that, and then before you know it, it's
You're back
like,
to square one again.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
so I think your plan is pretty good. If you make that Fluids once a year, twice a year, whatever, you could, although it's not a continuous income as such, it could be a continuous income in the long run where it's like
it's not really about an income thing.
it's not that no absolutely
It's,
not, but it's the relevancy. People
Yeah.
will anticipate the next one.
Yeah.
A good one I would say is if you done say BTID Pier on the Pier, Restricted Forest, these sort of events. If you did them fucking 4 times a year, do you think you're going to get the numbers that you get that when they're on once a year?
No.
You're not. So that's it. Once it's special and it feels special, you've got that captive audience and
Yeah,
it works.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So go on then. So I remember after the pandemic, as I say, I pulled up in the car at Burnley and I seen this flyer for the.
Was it the fluorescent yellow one?
No, it wasn't. It was
a poster.
It was black,
right. Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
I think it had pink and
Yeah.
this. I'm just going off memory. I could be totally wrong. Pink and purple maybe
Yeah.
and white. And anyways, I seen this flyer and I thought, right, oh, so they're coming back or whatever. I'd be interested.
Yeah, I'm a big
to
believer
see.
in old school promoting stuff. I mean, I know
Yeah.
these days it's not done. It's all sponsored ads, boosted posts, things
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
which is fine. But I've got to realise I'm a bit older now. And I still like to go out and meet people and talk to people and put posters up and say who's on and what's going on and stuff like that and get involved with it.
It's so you can gauge from a human level if there's any interest.
Exactly.
Putting it online, you can see clicks, but what does clicks mean?
Nothing.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely nothing.
Um,
I was driving around. I think we were at it 8 weeks, and I did all these fluorescent posters on Correct boards. They were on every single lamppost, every single traffic light, around the entire area. And I got away with it for quite a while, and then the phone calls started coming from the council, and I had to take them all down.
In fact, that being said, I'm sure I have seen one of the fluids ones that was up on one of the traffic lights. I thought,
Yeah.
that's cool.
They were everywhere, man.
Yeah.
I mean, somehow the council knew. They rang me, Pendle Council, because I live in Colne.
Yeah.
And I've plastered on Colne, Barrowford, so all Pendle area. Somehow, they got my mobile number, they knew who I was, they knew my address, and they said all this on the phone before they mentioned the posters. So we believe you've got an event this weekend. You've been putting posters on all the traffic lights in the area and stuff.
If people want to know something about you, it's very easy to find out.
Well,
right?
absolutely,
Yeah,
they knew
yeah.
everything. So they gave me 48 hours to take them down.
Interesting.
Which was fine, because that fell after the event.
Class, I like it. But yeah, I was going to mention to you, you said, you're of the old school and old school flyer and going to talk to people and stuff like that. There'll be people who went to the original Fluids who are the similar age to you who would maybe see it via that because they're of that generation where they're like,
exactly, yeah.
see a flyer or so like even now, do you know when I go into like a takeaway?
Yeah, I look at the flyers.
I look, yeah.
In the taxi rank, you look who's on and you look what's going on.
Yeah.
That's a billboard to me. You look at it and go, right, so look at that's going on.
Yeah, I don't want to know about this plumber who's offering his services. I want to know what the next event is. I remember going into like takeaways and they'd be like, because I used to take them as well. I used to collect them and they used to all go on the wall and that. You know what I mean?
Dom used to do that, didn't he? He put a picture up not so long ago of his wall and it was just covered in Fluids posters. Where have you got them from?
Yeah, he's robbed them from somewhere.
He used to put them up in the shop on the window, and the school kids used to run past, and the door would go. You'd hear the buzzer, and the kids would run off and whip the poster and run off. And I said, just ask for one. You could have had one. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, it's like I was. Farrell said the other day that speaking of printing, he said he got this Sanctuary logo printed. I think it was like 2 meters. He says something. Or it was significantly big, and he's like, why has somebody stole that from the event?
Yeah.
Like the store, it's like. Right, there's obviously some mad Sanctuary fanatic out there, right?
Good customers,
Right, who's sitting with that in their living room right now, a big 2 meter Sanctuary logo, and you're thinking, fucking enough jobs.
I was once at a retro at Fusion. Now all my decor used to be kept in the office upstairs or one of the spare offices. I was stood there having a drink. Next news, I saw this Fluids decor just floating across the dance floor. Somebody broke in and just dancing away with it. It all disappeared. They got it out the club and away it went.
Oh fucking hell, that's terrible. So yeah, so when you came back and you'd done this event post COVID, how was it? Did it feel like old times?
It wasn't as good as what I was expecting.
Yeah.
It didn't lose money, but in a club that size.
Sometimes it can dilute it, can't it? So if you put.
I mean, if one person goes for a smoke, 100 people go for a smoke at the same time, and it changes the entire dynamic of the crowd.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was a bit weird at times. Eventually, it got going about 3-4 o'clock in the morning, but that's like the normal thing now in Burnley.
Yeah.
The times have changed. It's getting later and later.
Yeah.
So in the end, it was okay. It's just a bit deflating, I think, for the amount of effort that went into it.
Yeah. Understandable. Like there's some venues you can go to, if you put 50 people on their dance floor, it'll look rammed.
Yeah, of course.
You put 50 people on a dance floor in a big capacity venue, everyone will be saying, "Fucking, that was dead."
Yeah, and
do you know what I mean?
It didn't record. Well, it recorded, but it was a brand new Pioneer A9 mixer, and apparently you've got to route the mic through to the record output.
Right. Okay.
And the guy who put it in didn't do that, so I've got 5 hours, well, longer, 7 hours recording with no MCs on.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's dead in the water, pointless.
I'm sure you could put something out, like maybe the warm up and stuff like that.
Possibly,
do you know what I mean?
yeah. I might upload it anyway and just
See how it goes. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with the MCs, what you've got as well, it's part of the
Culture, yeah.
the selling point of the night as well.
It is,
It's a massive selling point. When you think Fluids, you think of like Grimesy and Shock and B and like, do you know what I mean? Like, they're like they're just like the icing on the cake for it, as well as the tunes.
It wouldn't be Fluids without the lads.
Yeah,
It just wouldn't be. And that's been the same since day one as a group collective of lads. You know, it's always been us as a core. and I think that's why it kind of worked.
Excellent. So what have you got sort of coming up? Before I ask you some questions, I've got
What have we got coming up? This Saturday I'm at the Royal Dash again. I love playing there. It is just a decent venue.
You're big into football?
Yeah.
Right, so I've seen obviously it said like Burnley game kicks off at 8 or whatever. I just thought like, do you get like the Burnley football crowd in?
Yeah,
for
so
it?
basically it's near the football club anyway, so
Yeah.
it's the place to go before a game.
Yeah.
So I played a few weeks ago after the Man City game, and it was insane. So you play outside
Yeah.
up on the terrace, and normally it shuts about 11 o'clock. We're still going at 1:30 in the morning.
What's the music policy?
I was playing classics.
Oh yeah. Oh, class.
Yeah, they're good class. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's about 140, 145 BPM. So all the vocally clublandy stuff, it just
Yeah.
it's by
I
myself.
imagine, right, as a Burnley fan, that if they get a good win in.
I don't think it matters, mate.
Oh no, but if
Yeah,
they
if
get
it's
a
a big
good
win, then yeah, it's a
I
big
imagine
part
the
of it.
atmosphere in there will be.
Yeah.
If you played clubland stuff in there, it'd be absolutely rocking.
Yeah. So yeah, this Saturday I'm there. I'm playing before the gig. 'Cause it's an 8 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So I'm playing 5 till about 7:45,
Right.
and then I'm going to the match, and then coming back and playing afterwards as well. So it'll be a good day. I think that's it for this month. Then next month we're at Penny Black's for Gidney's New Night
Right.
with Sweet Female Attitude and Pete Daly and whatnot.
Right. Oh, I've seen the flyer for that actually. Yeah.
Then on the same night I'm over in Colne at a warehouse rave, like an old school warehouse thing. So
Not bad. Not
Yeah.
bad. What's that event? What's it called?
Under the Grave, I think it's called.
I haven't seen
I can't
that.
remember the lineup.
Oh, it's all right.
It's a good line. It's a really good old school lineup. So
I haven't seen it advertised at all, really. Doesn't
And
really
then
well.
I think that's it. And then there's a little something me and Nicky B are working on for Mad Friday.
Excellent. That's what I like to see. This will be out in a couple of weeks' time, so if you don't want to get it out, then it's fine. I understand. Just got a couple of questions from the listeners and basically what we do. Have you watched the podcast before?
I have, yes.
Oh, okay. Right. Just so you know, there is no flop-a-bop today. Unfortunately, I apologise because people aren't sending in their requests. So send in your requests and then I'll ask. So we've got questions. Would you rather be chased through a forest by a zombie or a lion? And that's Al Lockie from Al Lockie. Stupid question, but I asked them, mate.
A zombie, I think.
Any reason?
'Cause I could probably climb a tree and a zombie can't.
So that's all right. There's your answer, Al, for if you're asking. Right, this is one I've been asking everyone. Right, in all the years of working in the music industry, what's one pet peeve that you've got? Like, there's bound to be something where you just like. I use this example. You're not allowed to use it, by the way, because I use this every time. For me, a pet peeve is when you turn up and the equipment's just not good, or the monitors.
Yeah, I don't think I have any, to be honest. I mean, maybe an MC that talks over a vocal quite a lot.
Okay, that's a pet peeve.
To the point I'll flick them off. Wait a minute, just wait till it's done.
Yeah. Does its bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, understandable. And what's one thing that gives you great satisfaction in the music scene? So where you, on reverse side, where you turn up and they've got good equipment and they've got a monitor and
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I'd rather go for crowd reactions, to be honest.
Right.
That gives me real job satisfaction.
Right.
You play a tune and you see people's faces and reactions to it, and then you follow it up with another one and it carries on and that creates a state of euphoria, and it's just a good feeling.
Nice answer. No one said that as well yet. A question from the last guest. So before we finish today, I'm going to ask you a question for the next
Who
guest.
was the last guest?
Rob Kane.
Alright, okay.
So this is from Rob. I said, I've got Lewis coming on. Have you got a question for him? He sent me a two-parter, so you're going to have to answer this one. He says, question is two-parter. Ask Lewis who his DJ mentor was, which Rob's listens to the podcast, so there you go. You've got a full section about it at the beginning. So Sempi, would you say is your mentor?
Yeah.
Right, and ask him when he started. And Also, ask him about how he met Nicky B and his career together, and that's from Rob Kane.
Okay, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, so I was DJing in the Starkies at the time, and I went into town on a Saturday afternoon. And then, so you had Club 53 upstairs, and downstairs was Sidewalk 53. And the DJ from the club used to play in there Saturday afternoons. So I remember going in and said to Pinky, I'd love to play in the club. And he said, well, come down tonight. I said, there's no wage or anything, but you can come play. I thought, brilliant. So I went in there, played, and Nicky B was an MC then.
MC Nicky B,
MC
there you go.
Nicky B, and he was there and he worked that night, and we worked together, and I think ever since then, we've been inseparable. Or we
So
were
it was-
for such a long time, we did everything together.
So it was DJ LP and MC Nicky B,
Yeah,
Club
and then-
53.
Yeah, and then it went to DJ LP and DJ Nicky B. He
Yeah,
gave
yeah.
up the MCing. And,
Yeah.
and to be fair, you know, what I mean, the lad's a talent at both. He's always been able to do both, so
Right.
yeah.
I think I've seen a couple of videos of him MC and stuff like that. He's
They're
very...
very grainy then, probably. That
No,
long
no,
ago.
this
Oh,
is-
they recently.
yeah.
Right, okay.
When I listen to him, he gives off that like Monroe's MC vibe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He loves the Monroe stuff.
Yeah. So obviously you've worked together throughout. You always cross paths throughout your full career, and obviously friends and stuff like that. And we talked about Mad Friday. You've got doing something together, so it's good that you.
I'll just tell you, it's an evening with LP and Nicky B.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
There's your answer. Exclusive. This, you know.
There you go. That's it.
I lied to him. It's coming out on Monday instead. No, I'm joking. But yeah, so what? Are you just gonna a journey from when you started up until
Yeah,
now?
that's what we're going to do. So we're in Hidden nightclub.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I think we're doing a £5 entry all night.
Nice.
It's just going to be me and Nicky B back to back.
Any MCs?
No MCs.
Okay.
Just playing the music. We started out what we loved from the beginning and just do a journey of music.
Nice. And I've seen Nick's been teasing something,
Yeah.
but it's just.
I'll just tell you now, it's out there now,
There you go.
isn't it?
Excellent. I think that'd be really good as well.
Yeah, something a bit different. We've wanted to do something again, but not full on bounce. You know, take it on a journey through what we've done and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be quite good. I think it'll work well.
Excellent.
And we're even digging the turntables out as well. So
Nice. So them records will be coming off them shelves.
they
then.
will absolutely. I'll be dusting them there.
Excellent. Nice question from Rob as well. Like that. I
Fantastic,
thought
yeah.
was good. So next up, we're going to do throwback attack. So do you know what this is?
No.
No. So throwback attack. I'm going to read you a sentence, and you just tell me the first song that comes to your head. So you'll get what it is when we get
Okay.
going. It's just first thing. Don't sit and think
Remember,
about
my
it.
memory's bad.
Yeah, I know, but when the whole thing is, I'm giving you situations,
All
so
right,
it
okay,
take
go
you
on
back to certain times. So this is throwback attack with DJLP. What song do you think of when you think back to primary school?
Jesus Christ, Evo Calms all around.
Okay, excellent tune, excellent choice. What song do you think of when you think back to secondary school?
Binary Refinery 1999.
Class tune again, class tune. What song do you think of when you think of getting to your first set of decks? Your first set of decks.
Wand Happiness.
Was that one of the first vinyls you got? Was it?
It
Yeah.
was gifted to me, yeah.
Excellent. What song do you think of when you think to your first days of going out?
Oh. So this is when I used to go and watch Sempe in a club in town. So it was like the era of like Darude, Sandstorm, stuff like
Okay,
that. Yeah,
good answer. What song do you think of when you think back to your golden era?
Oh. I'm going to say Wand Happiness again.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. There's no rules to it. And last one is what is your karaoke song?
I don't have one. I can't sing.
You have to have one. You've got a gun to your head.
Oh, I don't know. Oasis definitely maybe or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. That's fine. That's been throwback attack. Just want to say you've been a fantastic guest, mate.
Thank you for having me.
I've loved some of the stories as well. It's a bit of an insight into what bit of everything really. I've genuinely enjoyed it. If you've enjoyed it as well, put a comment below just saying what you've enjoyed or what you disliked about it. If you thought I've been annoying or if you thought he's been boring,
I was thinking
just
I'm
let us
shit.
know. Yeah. If you think it's shit, let me know. Just put in shit. Still give it a thumbs up on YouTube though. People forget to do that, and it annoys me. You don't realise how much it helps the algorithm. But yeah, so I'm going to finish with this, as I asked everyone. You're getting the electric chair because you misprinted the 2 metre distance and signs, and the government went, whoa, this isn't happening. Death penalty's back just for you, right? So you're allowed a starter, main, dessert, and then to wash it down, a beverage. What you having?
Starter. It would be a caprese salad for a starter with the mozzarella and tomatoes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Main would have to be a large Turkish lamb shish kebab.
Nice,
Absolutely.
nice.
Dessert
With rice.
with rice.
Yeah.
I've never had it with rice.
I like a kebab with rice, mate. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Fun.
I'll try that tonight. Wash down with a glass of red, and then for pudding, I'd have to go sticky toffee pudding.
Nice, not a bad choice. Fantastic choices there. Maybe not the salad, but we'll let you off. It's all right. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Where can people find you then? So what's your socials?
Obviously, you can find me on Facebook, my Instagram and stuff. I don't really use much else, I don't think.
You're on SoundCloud as well, I
Oh yeah,
believe,
SoundCloud. Yeah, follow us on
Yeah.
SoundCloud, and the Fluids on SoundCloud.
Yeah, and then you can come and go to his night that hasn't been announced yet on Mad Friday, an evening with Nicky B and LP, or you can come to his Fluids night once a year that he's gonna do. Honestly, mate, I think it's gonna be really good. If it's done in a way where it is a reunion, I think it'd be a fantastic thing to look forward to every year. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, mate.
Thank you very much, mate.
Excellent. If you've enjoyed this episode, then share it with your mates. This is what I say every week, and I feel like I'm getting on at people. If you've enjoyed it, right, why not share it with your mates? If you know somebody who's like, do you know what, I think they'd enjoy this, just stick it in the WhatsApp group and just say, listen to this is fucking shit. But yeah, and if you've really enjoyed it and you want to become a Patreon, where you get early access and you also get bonus content, so like our Halloween special will be going on Patreon, our Christmas special will be public, but we'll do some bonus stuff for Christmas as well, and we'll do some other little specials that we've got lined up. You can sign up at Patreon at patreon.com/itstimetoriffresh. It's £3 a month. It just supports the production of all this. Goes towards fuel of going places, stuff like that. I mean, if this was a business, mate, we've been filing for bankruptcy.
Right, okay.
For what it costs in fuel nowadays, and obviously the production, editing time, and everything like that.
And travel time.
Yeah, it's a big loss to make back. So we do make something back, but it's not a great deal. It's not a beggy thing to do this. You can sign up if you want to. If you just want to fucking do what everyone else does, one of your mates sign up and then you just share it in the WhatsApp group, so it's out leaked anyways. So just do that.
Yeah.
At least I've got one more Patreon than I'll have like 63 instead of 62. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, nice one having you on, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure. Thank you.
See you again next week.